Good morning, everybody. It's Gerrit with Gerrit's Backyard Arcade, and oh boy, I am so excited to show you guys one of the latest and greatest updates we have made to one of my favorite console modifications. And what I'm talking about today is the Sony PlayStation Vita. This bad boy was launched in 2011, and unfortunately, Sony's timing was really poor. This came out around the same time as the iPhone and Android phones were really starting to come to prominence. And unfortunately, the world was a little distracted by mobile gaming and slept on this. But thankfully, the mod community has not slept on this console, and they have come out with some amazing new tricks. Let me walk you through it. All right, now that we've got our PlayStation Vita in hand and fully updated with the latest and greatest modifications, I'm going to walk you through just exactly what we've been able to accomplish. So I'm going to go ahead and launch this bad boy up. And one thing that you people who have had experience running a PS Vita before will notice is immediately this is no longer going to launch straight into the bubble menu that you are accustomed to. In fact, what this is now doing is going to go ahead and auto launch us directly into a new application called RetroFlow by VitaHEX Games. And guys, this front end is outstanding. So as we get into the system, you can now see all of our Vita games are pre-installed with cover art ready to launch. Frankly, all I would have to do here is press X and we would launch right into our Vita games. But what about games that are not Vita exclusive? What else doesn't this bad boy do? Well, if I press the square button, I'm going to move through some categories. Here you can see some of our primary applications that you may or may not choose to use. But now we're going to start jumping right into the rest of the games library. So I've got all the PSP games loaded up here, again with that cover art and ready to go. Just press X and you will start right into it. But then we also have PlayStation 1. If you did not realize, the PlayStation Vita can natively play PS1, PSP, and PS Vita games. And Vita games tend to be along the lines of PS3 titles. In fact, a good large number of Vita games are identical to the PS3 titles that came out during that same era. Now, if I go ahead and press square again, I'm going to jump away from the Sony platform, and now we are looking at, that's right, Super Nintendo. And guys, this works just as well as every other one of the consoles I've shown so far. I would literally just press X and it would launch my Super Nintendo game. It is a 4:3 ratio, but has been optimized to fill as much of the screen as possible while keeping the standard ratio that you would expect for a game that came out from the 90s era. Hit square again, and look at this, guys, the full library of the Game Boy Advance ready to go. Oh my gosh, this is just amazing. There are some outstanding games on the Game Boy Advance, and if you haven't played the Game Boy Advance in a while, I promise you, when you get onto this console with this OLED screen, this will be by far the best way you can play these games with the absolute most gorgeous visuals. And then lastly, I go ahead and press my square button one more time, and now I've got the entire Sega Genesis library loaded up as well, all with cover art ready to enjoy. And again, just works as seamlessly as everything else. So this just can't possibly get any cooler, but it does. So I'm going to go back here to the category section and show you guys just one or two more quick features. The first one being is this one. This is called the PKG store. If I launch this store application, it will take me directly into a new online server that makes the entire Vita, PSP, and PS1 library of games available to you for download, including games from Asia, Europe, Japan, as well as all the DLC for the Vita and DLC for PSP games. So guys, this literally is probably over 8,000 to 10,000 titles that you can download at any given time onto your console. And once you're done, they're going to launch right back into that RetroFlow screen that I was showing you. And this just makes this thing so much more enjoyable and usable for today's gamer. And frankly, I like to call this the Nintendo Switch on steroids with a Sony bend to it. OLED, I know that I made a slight comment about that earlier, but guys, I know in this lighting it probably doesn't really show, but this screen is outstanding and beautiful. The blacks are absolute black. The color saturation is the best you could possibly imagine. All of these games just frankly look amazing and work perfectly. If I come back here to my category section, I have a couple of more options that I can choose from, but the main one I want to show you here besides the PKG store is this one. This one's called Adrenaline. So I know that I showed you here that we have PSP games that you can launch natively from this application, but if you so desire and just want that nostalgic punch, you can click on Adrenaline here, and frankly what it's going to do is convert this Vita into a full-board PSP. The entire menu system is identical to the PSP, and you can launch your PSP and PS1 games from there. Well, all I can say is, isn't it gorgeous? Isn't it amazing? This looks nothing like probably what you're accustomed to. It's been totally modernized, and it's amazing. If you're interested in picking up one of these for yourself, DM me, and we can start that conversation. Typically, I can knock these out in literally less than 2 to 3 days and have it in your hands quite quickly. Hope you're having a lovely day. Bye-bye.